Hey, what is going on, Twintendo Nation? Hope you're having an awesome day. Now, recently on the channel, as you guys might know, we've been covering the rumoured Pokemon games for this year, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, and basically we haven't had too much news or rumours regarding those games recently, but today some interesting rumours about these potential games have come forward. Whether they're true or not, obviously we'll have to wait and find out, but we will talk about the credibility about this leak at the end of the video. But I want to talk to you about everything that's mentioned in these leaks. It talks about new features, what to expect, what the region is going to be like. There's a lot of detail to go through, so even if these are fake, it's quite well written and quite interesting, and if it's true, it definitely makes me a lot more excited about these potential games. And it's kind of weird talking about whether these rumours are true, because we don't even know if Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee are true yet, although I'm starting to believe that is the case. Now, before we start today's video, as always, if you do enjoy it, make sure to hit the like button down below, and if you want to stay up to date with all Pokemon news, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well. And without further ado, let's just jump into these alleged leaks. So firstly, this is posted on 4chan, and it's by the user The Other Leaker. And they start their post by saying that recent leaks about the game, and I'm assuming this is like the 151 Pokemon rumour leak. If you hadn't heard about that, basically that all the Pokemon in these new games would just be from the first generation. I think they're basically saying that those are fake, they're recent rumours, and they go on to say they're potentially risking their job, but they plan to leave Nintendo in a few months either way. We're going to get onto that part at the end of the video. I kind of find it is a bit weird that you're stepping forward and basically saying, I'm working at Nintendo, come and find me kind of thing. But anyway, let's get into these rumours. So first of all, the games are indeed called Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, which we already know. They go on to say Nintendo want to expand the Pokemon brand by giving Pikachu a partner ambassador and therefore giving Pokemon a new face, which is why the spotlight has been all over Eevee these past few months, which is true. There's the Eevee Twitter account, there's Eevee in the new film, and to be honest, Eevee has just always been a very popular Pokemon. Now, they continue to say the new games still have some things left to be finished, but so far here's what they have. So the games will take place in Kanto and then question mark, which I'm assuming is another region. I think they mentioned further down that there is a new region, but I'm assuming they just don't know what it's called yet. They say, I'm not sure about the 100 years in the future rumour, which is basically these games will be set in Kanto 100 years later and Pallet Town's underwater, that kind of rumour that's been going around. And they say Red and Blue appear in these games and they are significantly older, which makes sense. If you've seen Pokemon Sun and Moon, they appear in that and they are older as well. So I'm assuming it follows on from Pokemon Sun and Moon. So maybe it's like Kanto, what Kanto is like during the Sun and Moon timeline. They go on to say that these games are indeed Generation 8, which is interesting because I always thought they might be Generation 7, especially if we weren't going to get new Pokemon. But yeah, apparently they are Generation 8, and they say Nintendo are taking a new look forward with Pokemon on Switch. The Kanto in this game is much different from Kanto in the past games. There was a tragedy that resulted in Kanto being broken off into different smaller islands, but a new huge island formed in the middle of the region. This island is bigger than any of Alola's, so big that it's considered its own region, which is why I think it said at the start Kanto and question mark. So you've got the Kanto, what's left of the Kanto region by the sound of it, in the small islands, and then you've got the big middle island, which is its own new region. They go on to say that the Italian leakers and their rumours were true, that Kanto is the smaller islands that surround the bigger region, which is the main metropolis, so that's the main area you'll visit in the games by the sounds of it. Pokemon is taking an entirely different route with these games, surprisingly everyone with a brand new formula they have brought forward with the Switch. Again, we have no idea what that really means, it's kind of a vague statement. There will be new Pokemon, interesting, because obviously everyone's thinking it's a Pokemon Yellow reboot, it's just going to be old Pokemon, and there was even a rumour, like I said, with 151 Pokemon only, so that's interesting if that is true. And they say a lot of them are evolutions and pre-evolutions, which is so exciting to me. I missed that so much. If we don't count Sylveon from Generation 6, then I think the last generation we had, when we had quite a few pre-evolutions and evolutions, was Generation 4, Diamond and Pearl. That was one of my favourite things in a new generation, looking at these Pokemon and seeing who will evolve or who will have a pre-evolution next generation. That was really exciting, and I was so disappointed they've not brought that back, but if that's true, that's something I'm really looking forward to. They continue on by talking about Gorochu and saying there is no word on that at the moment, and if you guys don't know what Gorochu is, basically it was an alleged evolution for Raichu back in Generation 1, and now what's interesting about Gorochu is that Pokemon themselves were the one who brought it up. It's not like it got leaked and then someone talked about it and they said, yeah, we were planning to do it. It's interesting that them Pokemon themselves brought this up. Whether it means anything, whether Gorochu will be appearing in this new game, we'll have to wait and see. They go on to say that Eevee is getting a new evolution, which will be in the new movie. That's honestly no surprise since we are due a new evolution. If you think about it, the last evolution we had was Sylveon in Generation 6, and normally evolutions, at least recently, miss out a generation and then come back in, and so obviously no evolution last generation in Sun and Moon, so we are definitely due a new evolution, so that for me makes a lot of sense. They say the battle mechanics are relatively the same. The rumours of Pokemon Go's integration in the games are overstated, which is good. You know, I'm all for a bit of Pokemon Go interaction and stuff, but hopefully not too much. They go on to say that Pokemon are in the Overworld, which I'm assuming means when you're walking around cities and routes, you see people's or trainers' Pokemon just walking around. Similar to how like in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon, you can interact with certain Pokemon and just like play with them, like Rockruff and Sandygast, so maybe it's something like that. They go on to say that catching Pokemon is made to be a bit harder, resulting in Pokeballs being cheaper in the Pokemart. Not sure why it's going to be harder. Maybe that is going to be true, that the Pokemon Go catching mechanic is going to be in the game, which I'm kind of hoping that isn't the case. But we'll see if it's actually good and, you know, it makes the interaction of catching Pokemon more realistic. We'll have to see whether that's good or not, but I'm not too keen on that idea personally. Then it goes, you can transfer Pokemon from Pokemon Go to these games, which is definitely something I am expecting since they've talked about that in the past. It goes back in 2016, Junichi Masuda said when they're working on Pokemon Sun and Moon, they wanted to integrate Pokemon Go into that, and it didn't happen, so it's very likely that obviously these games are going to have that interaction. Next we get word about one of the legendary Pokemon, and apparently it's a snake-like Pokemon, it's part poison, and apparently it was a major factor in the Kanto disaster. They say they weren't shown or told about the other legendary Pokemon, and that appears in the Eevee version. I'm assuming that the snake legendary Pokemon appears in the Pikachu version, and then the one they don't know about appears in the Eevee version by the sounds of it. Now Pokemon follow you again. This is something that we've predicted and expected for a long time, because obviously there was a lot of leftover Pokemon following you files in Pokemon Sun and Moon. I've talked about this so many times, you guys probably already know about it, but there will be footage on screen from those files. And they say Game Freak finally understood how important it was for fans to have Pokemon following us again, which is definitely true. The starters are indeed the original 3 from Kanto, so Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, with a gifted Pikachu or Eevee given to you depending on your version. Actually surprised at that. I completely didn't think the starters would be involved. I just thought you'd get given a Pikachu or an Eevee, but that makes a lot more sense personally, I think, to have, you know, the choice of a starter instead of being stuck with either Pikachu or Eevee. They follow on by saying a lot of ideas in this game came from fans. I don't know about that one. That's kind of one that makes you think, actually, are these rumours legit? It's just something I wouldn't expect from Game Freak and Nintendo to be like, right, these are what the fans wanting. Because normally you just go on and make your game, you know, you kind of have a bit of fan input, but not too much. But I don't know. Interesting if that is true. They go on to say the evil team in this game are very much different from the rest. They're very passionate and driven for their goals, but they go on to say they don't know their names or what their actual goal is. Their theme is silver. Interesting that they say they're driven for the goals, but they don't know what the goal is. I don't know. This kind of sounds super vague to me, but they say version differences are quite major in this game, going beyond Pokemon Black and White, which is an interesting idea because Pokemon Black and White altered quite a bit. They had an area in the game that was exclusive to each version, so there was, I think it was Black City and White Forest. I think that's what it was. I didn't really play those games too much, but that was an interesting idea, and I kind of actually appreciated that Pokemon Black and White did that. So if Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are any similar to Black and White's kind of version changes, that's going to be very, very interesting. Now this next point is something that really stood out to me, and this is because I've talked about it quite a lot in my recent videos if you guys have seen them. In January 2014 there was an article about the next Pokemon generation, Pokemon Plus and Minus, and apparently those were the original ideas for the games, and that definitely sounds like the case because it had really small islands and then one big island which was, you know, the main hub of the game, and it sounded like they were working on the Nintendo Switch, which was interesting because we had no news about the Nintendo Switch at that point. So that sounds like either these rumours are completely true and that makes sense, or they're just kind of basing a lot of these rumours around stuff we already know. That's the only thing I can say about the credibility really about these rumours. You just got to take it with a pinch of salt, but that is very interesting if that turns out to be true. They say there is no such thing as an Ultra Shiny, meaning that that Ultra Shiny trademark we had recently is not part of these games. It's something else, maybe like Pokemon trading cards. They say story-wise, it's amazing from what I've heard and seen. This is one of the most emotional Pokemon games with a story that will make you tear up. There is deeper meaning to the evil team's goals in this game. They say that, but then they said they don't know what their goals is, so that's kind of conflicting to me personally. They say the music is next level entirely. which I hope so, because Pokemon music can be some of the best music in games for sure. A whole host of other characters make appearances in these games. They are of course much older now, so I'm assuming either gym leaders from Kanto or maybe champions from other regions like Cynthia and Steven. That would be really cool to see them. The Lapras leak, which is an image that's been circling around, was an early screenshot from around last September, October. The graphics are a step up from that, nothing like Ultra Sun, which is, I don't know, that screenshot definitely didn't look too different from Ultra Sun and Moon personally. They say there's a dynamic camera, which I'm assuming means you can spin the camera, like, you know, Super Mario Odyssey, Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, that kind of camera movement. Also, bear in mind that the screenshot was from the handheld Switch. The games look even more incredible on the television, so when the Switch is docked, I hope so. If it's graphically anywhere near, you know, Super Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, it doesn't have to be the same standard, maybe even lower than that. If it's something like that, I will be very, very excited. Now, they go on to say that gyms are back, 4 from the Kanto Islands and 4 from the new region. Johto still exists with a few changes here and there. You can visit there, but there are no gyms anymore. This is because Johto is taking a different route with trainers finding themselves and bonding with their Pokemon. They say think Trials from Pokemon Sun and Moon, but better, which I don't know about that. I'd be very surprised if Johto just got rid of their gyms completely. The other regions are hinted at, but you cannot go to them, which is fine, to be honest. I think as long as there's, you know, Kanto and Johto, we can go to those 2 regions, I'll be okay with that. Everyone who feels like the new games are going to be tragedies and failures just need to be patient. I've been a Pokemon fan all my life and these games are going to be the best. Nintendo have outdone themselves completely with these games and it will amaze you how epic they will be, basically. Interesting that they say that, because I know there's a lot of doubters and just a lot of people with a negative opinion on this. Hopefully these games, if they are true, do live up to the hype. And they go on to say a very interesting point. Diamond and Pearl remakes are in the works. They are the follow-up games, so maybe they follow on in the timeline from these games. They say don't expect them anytime soon, 2020 at the earliest. And that's pretty much it. Pokemon Diamond Pearl does make sense for 2020 release, but interesting stuff. Like I said, talking about credibility, some of those points sounded a bit vague and they kind of conflicted themselves, I thought, with the evil team saying they don't know their goals or motives, but they have the really deep goals, and I'm just like, well, which one is it really? Do you know them or not? Not to say that this isn't true, or not to say that this isn't fake, it's just hard to decide. But if this is true, there's a lot of things in this video that I've talked about that really excite me, and there's a few things that I'm not too keen about, but we'll see how it is if these games are real. So guys, let me know in the comments below, do you think these games are real or fake? And if they are real, which feature or what new rumour have you heard from this video that you like the sound of the most? Remember guys, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to drop it a like. Let's aim for 1,000 likes again on these Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee rumour videos. And if you want to stay up to date with all the Pokemon news, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I will see you on the next video. Peace!